I got 100 of every single plant in Minecraft and built the most impressive garden ever to help create the most impressive hardcore world. Compared to everything I've done up to this point, I wanted the next one to be truly unique and insanely hard to make, and I'm sure I at least succeeded in the difficulty part because this was the hardest project I have ever made. I need to get every plant that can stand on a block so will explode vines, and mushrooms aren't plants. Yes, I studied biology for this build. I traveled to pretty much every biome to get 60 different types of items and 6,000 in total. First, I needed to build an actual empty garden to fill, and there was a perfect spot right next to my house. The place is 60 by 100 blocks. We have a lot of work to do. The houses are done. I should have really gotten a beacon. This is so much stone. It took 4 hours to build and it looks amazing. Now we can start planting. I began with the fruits and edible items because I already have 100 of a couple. The wort, cane, the wheat that I get whenever I touch grass, and we don't have to talk about the melons. I also had a few cacti and a pumpkin spawn next to my house, so the plan for those was simple. Those were the only 6 I had at my base, and from then on I was gonna go out and find all the other 54. We're looking for a village to find the veggies. There it is. I actually found all 3 in that first one: beetroot, potatoes and carrots. I can just bone meal these guys over and over again. We only have the berries and the chorus fruits left. The red goodies are even simpler than the carrots, but the end plant was the hardest. Wait, can I not get chorus flowers? What's going on? I have to break the flower itself. This makes even less sense than the floating trees. They're also super tall and it's very easy to miss the flower and lose it. I finally have all the edibles. These 11 are the easiest to get. We have an insane journey ahead of us. And indeed, the 7 trees were much more difficult. I sure know which ones we start with. The low-profile, thin trees like birch and oak were almost relaxing, but wait till you see the jungle. The trunks are massive and the leaves not that many, plus I have to drop all the wood or the drops will get stuck. This is what an hour and a half of collecting jungle saplings looks like. Acacia and sprouts were enjoyable just like the oak, but then comes the real challenge. And I thought 4 block trunks were scary. Some of these are 13. There was 1 tree left, which to me was the scariest. My world has only recently been updated and there's a ton of chunks that were generated in 1.18 before mangrove was even a thing. I traveled a good 40,000 blocks before I eventually found the swamp. I don't have to cut the tree, this is nice. 3 more and I'm done. Gotcha. We have all 7 saplings and I honestly hope the others will be easier. I'm using string to prevent them from growing past 1 block and ruining the look. It's perfect because you can barely notice it. 18 out of 60 and it already looks massive. Just imagine this garden 3 times as big. The next 12 plants are all the grass and vine types and also the most diverse. I'll start with the 9 easier ones and then move on to the second hardest plant in this challenge. I got the crimson roots, nether sprouts, blue vines and wrap roots from the nether. It's nice to have an easy task every once in a while. We are done with the nether. The fifth was grass, that was the simplest, but next were the difficult ones. With all the research I've done, I didn't know you can bone meal bamboo to get 100 in seconds, so I wasted 30 minutes. I briefly forgot about the fern, which is almost as easy as grass, and lily pads were a bit difficult just because the swamp next to my base was the smallest I've ever seen and I had to find a second. I have been dreading this moment since the beginning of the build. If you were to guess the second hardest plant to get, you wouldn't even think of Glowlichten. This thing is so rare, I literally have to check every stone. Add hordes of monsters to the scarcity, and this is the second most time consuming item from the garden, and it took 2 hours to get a little over 100. Number 1 are wither roses, and I'll get to those soon. The last one in this group was the drip leaf that you can make as tall as you want as long as you have bone meal. It's so hard to recall everything I've done and we're only halfway there. "30 out of 60 plants, just imagine how it will look like finished. You can think of the 18 flowers as a well-deserved vacation right before the hardest part. 15 of them grow in or near a flower forest and you don't even need to bone meal for most of them, they're just that many. The only ones that I need to bone meal are the plains flowers, corn, dandelion and poppy. Flowers are so simple to get. These are the 15 from the forest. The interesting ones were the blue orchids that only grow in swamps and I got them in 10 minutes, the harder to get azalea and even more rare flowering azalea. I spent like 700 bone meal to do it. I finished in 80 minutes, it was not that bad. For little work we got a lot of garden. I planted from the other side because I wanted all the tall plants to be on the right so they aren't covering the smaller ones. We are at 48 out of 60 plants and the colors are blinding, but it's funny because the next group will be so much brighter. And now for the weirdest part of the build, I had to get 100 of all 10 coral types and sea cucumbers. There's 5 small coral types and 5 big. I got the 100 sea cucumbers and 5 small kind in under 20 minutes, but the big ones were a real grind. They're very rare and hard to spot because I'm half blind underwater, so I bone mealed the whole reef as there wasn't even 100 of each. This place now looks like a jungle. And after spending 5 hours in that area, I got all 11 sea plants. This will be as close to done as it gets. Coral can stay on a block and not die if it's a water slab, super nice mechanic to have for the garden. It looks done from above, but we all know it's not impressive without the hardest plant. For the black cherry on top, I needed to get a wither to destroy 100 mobs. We need sacrificial beings, but what do I choose? I'm sorry, but you guys are the easiest, cheapest and fastest to breed. I basically have no choice. Then came an hour of feeding and then creepily watching them until I could feed them again. There's at least 100 of you, so now we can get the wither. Even with my looting sword, skulls are super rare, which is why this plant took the longest. First one, I got an achievement too. I have 2, I don't know when that happened. One more, just one more and we can make the garden. Come on, come on. Yes! I placed the wither in the middle of the farm and the explosion instantly gave me 100 roses. I would let you live, but I'm afraid you'll make it to my base. And the beacon that I've always wanted. This is it, it's never been done before and it looks incredible. And the last? Rose. I mean, if this is not impressive, then what is? I guess I'll try to come up with something at least as good and who knows, maybe I'll choose one of your ideas.